Conflicts not only cause economic upheaval and hardships, but it makes women and children vulnerable to human security concerns. The Bougainville conflict, which brought about many human rights atrocities, occurred as a result of the dispute over the Panguna Mine. By the end of its operations in 1989, Panguna was the largest open-cut mine in the world. It was accused of contaminating large areas of land due to its toxic waste, which affected land, water, and air. The landowners of Panguna were angered over the tailings and mine waste contamination of agricultural land and rivers, as well as inequity of revenue generated by the mine. This forced the mine operations to come to a halt in 1989, precipitating a 10-year civil unrest. While the people of Bougainville have successfully shut down the mine, they are left to cope with the environmental fallouts. The people suffered the consequences of war at the same time having to cope with the environment crisis. Rio Tinto, the mining company that was responsible for the environmental damages, divested its share of the mine in 2016 and now believes that it has no obligation to address the mine's environmental crisis that it caused to the people of Bougainville. Today, rivers and streams in the vicinity remain contaminated. In terms of environmental damage and social disruption, people of Bougainville feel that it is a total negligence of human rights the Rio Tinto has caused on people's lives. Determined that the mine multinational should not escape the accountability for environmental and social issues, the Autonomous Bougainville government, led by President Chief Dr. John Momis, called for an international campaign to force Rio Tinto to accept its responsibilities and sought advice on taking legal actions. However, taking the matter to court required considerable amount of money which Bougainville did not have to pursue the case. Today, the government still heavily depends on international aid and financial support from national government, which is still slow in coming. During the 17 years of extraction on the lands of Bougainville, the Panguna Mine generated an estimated 1.7 billion kina in total revenue, roughly about 1.4 billion US dollars. Only 1.4% was granted to landowners who saw that it was an injustice. The question remains, what about the health of the people, especially women's health, which still remains unaddressed? Today, the women of Panguna and other parts of central Bougainville still face the consequences of the environment and war. The struggle of addressing food, health, political, community, and education securities is still not considered and given much attention.
Yeah, today because at the back where all people from me place tap only got triple nitrulo supporting all family livelihoods, education, housing, all this plan. Today a big plan challenge from me plan leaders. Lo come one time, talk one time in order lo me plan for us as leaders to bring forward one aim a good plan na by sustain him. Walk about lo people of Panguna na people of Bougainville. That is economic sustainability. When me play you look long him lo Bougainville as a whole.
The impact on war and the environment had fallen hard on the women of central Bougainville, especially in the Panguna area. Women continue to face economic blockade. The land in which they can use for agricultural activity is still contaminated. Women have to walk long distances to find better soil where they can plant their crops, which is apart from baking and other means of economic security most of them had ventured into.
The normal market, even just here, back here, the normal, fresh food market and stuff. But you can, if you monitor it or see it on a weekly basis, by you looking stock stuff to masa, you can see what how much food there is really in the community, because if there's surplus, plenty more by sit down on have with a lot of their goods. But it is limited. But there are initiatives like they sell. I've seen people selling clothes, but it doesn't really get off. I haven't really seen somebody, make it a big business out of it. Really focus on it and turn it into something.
But the most common activity now that women are more engaged in is gold panning. Women dig every day along riverbanks, including on the valleys. The activity is very risky as landslides have occurred, causing deaths, and the toxic chemicals which have been buried years ago has resurfaced. Women are now more focused on small-scale mining without considering their health security, as gold may be the only means of earning income to sustain their livelihood.
At the moment, nearly everybody working this small-scale penning of gold, where if they want to pen and stuff, that is there. But in the long term, it's very hard for a mother to be able to look after a family and do this as an economic activity for the family. And I think I can see families here facing this place. The more time you spend away, you're losing. Time is a budget. You're not gardening, and this affects you. So yes, you got small-scale mining, but in the long term, you probably need to be more organized in order to do this as something more, if you want to really make it something that the family will base its economic capacity on.
In doing so, a number of women develop breast cancers, giving birth to premature babies, while others are left to take care of children born disabled. A number of women have died while working with chemicals due to no proper awareness. Even when women are not directly involved in gold panning, the contamination of the environment remains a threat to health security. The women of Panguna, due to lack of participation in decision-making, are caught between the political decisions to reopen the Panguna mine.
Especially here in Panguna, I would like to see more women actually taking the leading role, which is what would normally happen. And the men, they support the women in their roles in the clan. So I believe that Bougainville is a very small population. We have so much opportunity ahead of us. We need good leadership. We need leaders that really care and make good decisions. So far, the agendas, I believe, are driven by men. They're saying women supported mining. I don't think it's an agenda that needs to be discussed. It's been said so much, mining needs to happen for Bougainville. But it's the terms and conditions that need to be spelled out so that the environmental damage can be controlled, and that we can actually say we only want mining up to this after so many number of years, and from there we can go on to develop the agriculture sector.
Now, how can the government address these issues other than focusing more on the reopening of the mine, which will cause more destruction to the lives of the people? Others believe that reopening of the Panguna Mine will pave way for economic and employment opportunities for the people of Bougainville. While no progress has been done to mitigate the impact of war and the environment pollution on women, there is a need that women want to remind the government on its commitment to incorporate the Sustainable Development Goals, specifically addressing the goals 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, and 16. The women of Panguna note that mine activity has caused a lot of injustice to the lives of women and girls, causing them to miss out on formal educational opportunities, depriving them of the right to land ownership, and lack of active participation to speak openly about issues affecting them. The Bougainville Mining Act 2015 requires mining lease applicants to protect the environment and comply with environmental policies and regulations, and stipulates that customary landowners have ownership of mineral resources found on their land. But while they are entitled to consultation about the exploration and mining interests, as well as benefits and employment, the Bougainville government retains exclusive powers over the granting of mining tenements and distribution of revenues. Rio Tinto has been engaged in discussions with the ABG government about the possibility of returning to Panguna to recommence extraction of the estimated 3 million tons of copper reserves there. However, the massive destruction of the environment is still unaddressed and continues to affect the lives of indigenous communities. For customary landowners, the land is like mother to them because they feed on the land. It is nothing compared to money. With efforts to incorporate the Sustainable Development Goals, the ABG in 2015 passed the first mining law, thus paving the way with a legal framework for large-scale mining to be reconsidered in the region. The women of Panguna demand that any law passed on the mine should consider the past experiences. No more damage should be done to the environment. But the talks of reopening the mine is the major agenda that Bougainville will once again rebuild its economy when breaking away from Papua New Guinea. Again, the women want that any mining company interested to mine on their land must consider a thorough cleanup of the massive destruction that affected the lives of the people, resulting in their peace and security threatened. Also, the mining laws passed by the government should be carefully done to ensure that women's views are also considered, as women are resource owners, and while quoting the Section 32 of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of the Indigenous People should be considered while making laws and amendments, that every decision made should be of favor to the people's rights, including the rightful resource owners, the women. Once again, the ABG has already embarked on revitalizing its economy through exploitation of its natural resources, and the once closed down mine is the main focus the government now has its eyes on, that will generate more revenue for Bougainville. While these development opportunities will have tremendous effect on the environment, the women demand that decisions made must ensure there is development justice for all Bougainvillians.